listening to the Money Monopolizers podcast, helping you take control of your financial destiny. It's about time that we invest more in our financial literacy and work towards building generational wealth. If you think you're ready to do the same, then you've come to the right place. Alex, Marlon, y'all ready? Let's get this bread.
What's good, everybody? It's Alex Moon here, and we're back with episode 61 of the Money Monopolizers podcast. And I'm here with my co-host, Marlon Walls. Marlon, how you doing today, bro?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. I'm honestly, I ain't got too much going on right now. It's been pretty good though. I will say we got the shirts finally out. Like we started sending out our first batch already. Definitely go cop your merch on moneymonopolizers.com/shop. We'll probably be expanding here very soon, especially since Thanksgiving is coming up and stuff. So definitely be on the lookout for that as well. But other than that, I think like as far as the episode itself, it was a really good one. I'll let you go ahead and introduce our guest, but we've known him for quite a while now. But it was one of my, it's up there with one of my favorites now because we pretty much got to dive deep into this story. How about you?
That's good. I'm doing good. Yeah, we definitely just got the shirts out, so y'all definitely go check those out if you're interested in that. Then go ahead and cop one. Everyone's saying that the material is really good and it's really high quality, so it's not like one of those cheapo shirts. I remember that first iteration.
Oh boy,
I had to stop wearing it. It was itching my back. But
yeah, bro.
I think it just felt like the shirts when you starch them and they just stand up. That's how that thing felt all the time. But as far as me, we just really, man, doing a lot of work and studying. Same thing on these apartments. Trying to continue to just learn the game of multifamily real estate investing, and just being able to talk that talk, because it's a whole nother, commercial real estate is a whole nother avenue from what we're used to in that regard. So we're definitely spending a lot of time educating in that, and it's been good right now. I think we mentioned this last episode, right? As far as people that are interested in investing in the in an apartment with us next year, we're going to be buying our first complex. You have mentioned that. Did you say this last week, or was this?
Nope. So I forgot to mention that actually when I was doing my introduction earlier. But I was actually able to raise $50,000 in private capital just from people reaching out to us saying that they were interested in investing with us. So definitely, if anybody wants to invest with us on these future apartment complexes that we're going into, just reach out to myself, Alex, or to us at Money Monopolizers on Instagram, wherever you can find us, because we definitely finna make those moves and trying to get all capital commitments that we can right now.
Yeah, for sure. And look, I'll just say it again too. I think I said last time, but we're looking, the minimum investment on that is going to be $25,000. So we're looking for 25 to 50,000 typically. I mean, if you want to put 100 racks in, that's cool too. We've had people that have lent 100,000. So if that's something you're interested in, then yeah, we could do that. And whenever we say part ownership, you're in a more, just to kind of talk about a little bit more, you're in a more limited role as an investor. We're the ones that are handling the deal, the asset management, the property. We're hiring the property managers. We're taking care of everything. You're just in a more limited role in regards to just being an owner, and you own a part of the apartment complex. You literally, you put your money and you put your bread in, and you get a check every few months or every quarter or every year, however we do the distributions, but you'll get a check based off of what you invested from the rent that these people are going to be paying. So, that's the definition of passive income. There is no more, that money cannot be any more easier to make than that kind of money. I can guarantee you that. So yeah, if you're interested in that, like I said, hit us up. We can definitely, talk more about that privately. So, but other than that, man, yeah, we got a lot of other stuff going on. I know I got the trucking stuff and the cleaning business, and that has, been taking a lot of my time. So I'm excited about it though. So cleaning business did amazing last month. It was the best month yet. So I'm super excited to continue to push that and grow that. But that was a lot of housekeeping, but you definitely got to get that stuff out the way. But yeah, as far as today's episode, man, we had a great episode. It was actually, I think Marlon had mentioned, we interviewed, well, you didn't mention, but we interviewed Cameron Jackson. And this is, somebody that we have known. Well, I've known him for the last, I would say 10 years. I think Marlon's known him a little longer just based off of when you met him. But we grew up with this dude in back in Houston and Pearland. Shout out to Pearland. Shout out to y'all if y'all listening. But he essentially he created a shipping container entertainment district or entertainment park in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and he started this last year, and he just opened up this year, and it's been doing amazing. I mean, he's just killing it out there, and it's growing really big. Just on social media and a lot of publicity. It looks like it's the hottest thing in Baton Rouge right now. It's crazy. But I know he was mentioning we talked about this in the episode, but he's saying he's making, what do you say, 50,000
I want to say like 20,000 per container or something like that.
Yeah, he's killing it, and I'm really happy and excited for y'all to hear this episode, because it's an example of, I mean, I saw firsthand. Obviously, this is someone we grew up with, and like we saw the evolution in his mindset and his growth, and to get to where he is now, it's really commendable, and it just shows that, man, anybody could really go out there and make something happen. He had a unique idea, and he went and he implemented it. And now, shipping container restaurants and parks you're already seeing them in certain places. And this is the time to get into that kind of stuff. So he's getting in early. He's establishing his brand. He's building it up, and it's going to be huge soon. So, I
mean, when I look back on it, my dad, I used to always mention like a few different guys to us, like to me, as far as the people who are doing things after Pearland that he's noticed. Like he always mentions me and you, for instance. But one person who always falls into that same conversation is Cam Jackson. And that's because we saw his evolution. Like once he left Pearland and went to play high school ball elsewhere, like we started seeing the transformation for him. We started seeing his body change. Then he went to college and was able to play collegiate football, and then after that, like he started doing all the different entrepreneurship ventures, and then he ended up building Millennial Park. So we always saw him doing something, especially after he departed from Pearland. So it's just like he's been growing ever since. So, and I think the best thing about Millennial Park is that, like you said, it's something that was it's like a new thing. It's not something that everybody is. It's not like a saturated market. Like take real estate for instance. It's not something that everybody is doing. He had a new idea, and he was able to implement it just by pretty much sheer willpower. Like whatever, like he mentioned School of Hard Knocks is like his favorite thing to go through, just because he's willing to do whatever it takes to get where he wants to get it to in life. So it was a really good one for me too.
Oh yeah, and also I realized that my mic wasn't plugged in during this episode, so I apologize about that. Sound quality won't be as great as usual from my end, but it's still good. So y'all tap into this episode, get some value out of it. But yeah, let's get into it. Cam, my man, how you doing, Mr. CEO?
Man, I'm doing great. No complaints at all. No complaints at all. Feeling good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. See, we grew up together out in Pearland, so seeing you, kind of the evolution that you've made, and just kind of from knowing you for the past 10 years to now, man, it's crazy to see kind of in terms of like your mindset growth, and also what you're doing now is huge. So super proud of you, man.
Yeah. And that is crazy. We really have known each other for so long. Like, y'all seen me evolve more than anybody, because y'all knew me back when I was like 16. Like, so just to see me now is just, I'm sure it's crazy. Like, I really am.
First time I met you was in 6th grade, bro. I don't even know, like back at like Alexander. Like that's how far back it goes. So it's just crazy seeing this evolution that you've gone through, and we're excited to have you on for just to interview you and stuff, bro.
Quick side note, real quick. I remember this was probably, I think, sophomore year. And we had, obviously, we played football, and we had like this. I think this was like my first memory of Cam, and we were in the stands, like in the press box, and it was like spring.
No way! I remember that. Bro, we can't even go into detail on that one. But I remember that day.
I'll get into it, but that was my first memory. I was like, yo, this dude is wild. Oh man.
I'm so happy you said that, bro. That just brought back so many memories. I remember that day, and that is the day I was like, dude, that is too funny. I was like, dude, Millennial's hilarious. We had a good time, and that's what it's all about. It's funny because it's truly funny because we all just have taken huge steps in everyone's growth. Like we all been following each other since high school, and now to see each other, it's like y'all's podcast is blowing up like crazy. And to see what you guys are doing and really put people on and tell people, being young black men, and let people know that there's, generational wealth, what you can do with real estate, how you can make moves, and how you can do it immediately. it's crazy, man. I've been looking at the journey. You guys, you know, just the impact y'all have had has been huge as well. So I just wanted to share that because we really have going back from that day. Whew, like, you know what I mean? Like, who would have thought?
For sure, bro.
So
So I want to hop right into kind of what we want to get into today. So typically how we start every podcast, we really want to get into like the background and the upbringing of our guests in terms of like you know, just telling us how they grew up with or how they grew up viewing money. Like, what did their parents teach them about money, if anything? Like what, and then kind of evolving like what you were doing when you were 18, and then kind of how you got to what you're doing now. So can you kind of get into that? Obviously, you know, we grew up in the same city and all those things. So, but can you kind of get into your upbringing and then kind of the evolution to where you are now?
So growing up, we always had a ton of sports. So during the time, it was always like my mindset for the longest was just sports. You know, you think that sports is going to carry you to wherever it's going to carry you. So, you know, you don't really have a plan. You don't really think things. So my mom starts doing real estate when we at about age 30, I think like 33 or so. And I see her, this is like in high school, I see her doing properties and I'm helping her, but I'm helping her like, and I'm not noticing what I'm doing. Like she's buying a house. I'm looking at it as work that I don't want to do. Like, I obviously don't want to go to this house and help you paint and do all this on Saturday. I could be doing whatever I wanted to. So it was kind of like that. So upbringing, I always saw when I'm, you know, 16, 18, money was never just something that I always, you know, even cared about really. It was just like we were just doing things, doing whatever. I wasn't even really thinking about the future. I'm thinking, like I said, sports is going to carry me out. So once I saw my mom kind of doing that, it never really registered with me until I'd say I really got to college when I was at Coastal. It kind of registered with me a lot. And that's when I kind of was just like, okay, you need to start making real plans and adjustments to secure your future and to make sure that you have, you know, something in stone that you can make happen. So high school, I was still helping my mom with the real estate, never really understood. So I was getting to my first property. I was 22 at the time. Me and my mom, I bought a property in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and that's kind of how it started. She really was the one that led the whole deal and did it all. I kind of was just along for the ride and had a percentage of it and threw the money where it needed to go, and just kind of like she had me doing things as well, but to learn the process. So I was really still getting into it. So that's kind of how I really got into the investments and started really thinking about money and my future. And then that's when I created Gorilla Gang, which was started off as just a supplement brand. So we couldn't take supplements in NCAA. So I said, you know, let me make something that my teammates can take, I can take, and that'll be good. So I ended up making the supplements, and I made a couple shirts just for me to wear. People loved it, made the shirts, and that started into a brand. So that was another stream of income as well. So once those kind of two things happened, I'm sitting in school and I truly wasn't really learning anything. You know, I don't know if this is still on the pace of the question, but I'm really still not learning anything in school. And I want to do more. Like, I'm at Coastal, I'm having a great time. I'm playing football. It's fun. It's fun and I'm loving life. You know, we're on the beach and it's a good time. But it comes a point in time and I feel like everybody hits that wall where you're like, I know my potential and I know what I can be doing and I know what I should be doing. So I have money. So let me go put this money and invest it. I don't want to be spending it on dumb things anymore. I want to go and spend this money on things that can be legit. So let me find out how to do that. So started getting a little bit more serious. And that's when I go to Jamaica, take the trip. And I kind of get the idea for the containers. I had the land previously, the year prior. My grandpa ended up giving me the land. And I'm going to expand on that a little bit as well. So my grandpa gave me the land. Nobody was doing anything with it really. It was kind of just a lot of things fell out of place with the permitting office and things my grandpa had going on. It wasn't up to code. So I ended up getting the lot and I had a snowball stand on it. So I was getting a little $350 a month from the snowball stand. So that was another stream of income. And so I thought that was really cool. And so I really thought I was going to take the real estate route. And so when I go to Jamaica, I get the idea, see the containers. My dad goes in Houston and sees a container that's built out, sends a picture to the group chat of me and my mom. And he's like, we can do this. Let's make it happen. So that's when I said, you know what, let's do it. I literally left school and moved to Louisiana, like immediately. Like I didn't even finish summer class or nothing. I really have 2 more classes and I'm going to finish at Southern University. But I ended up just leaving because I was like, this is my purpose. I can't do anything here. I felt like I was honestly wasting my time. I had to move away from that circle of friends I was with. I moved away by myself. I literally came, and I have family here as well. So not to say I just got away from everybody, but I have a couple family members here as well and that I'd see. But I moved away from everybody else. My circle got super small and I was able to focus and I was able to really get away from things that were distracting me. And then I came down here, just got it out the mud. Literally, I purchased 1 container, put it on this land. And I still remember the day, and it's crazy just to process because I still remember this day I placed that container down, and it was such a huge moment for me. But now looking back, it's like that was the smallest step ever. But that moment right then, I can still feel it, man. And it was crazy. I got the container, painted red, and it's going to go. I'm just thinking it's going to open up in a couple months. I remember telling my friends, this is before, I had all the business mind and I was what I am now. And I didn't even know that you had to go through all the permitting process. It was going to take all those months, and you had to wait on these permits and the electrical, the plumbing. So I slapped it down. I'm telling everybody July 4th, we're opening, no later. July 4th, no later. Man, we didn't even have permits at that time. Went through that process, and then, I made it happen.
And I really, really like that evolution and the way you kind of progressed that story, because one thing I noticed kind of about you, just in terms of like I said, we've known each other for a long time. I've seen a lot of evolution and growth just in terms of mindset, right? Over the last even 2 year or so, right? Growing up in high school and in back where we were, there's a certain group of friends that you have that kind of don't let you evolve to where you really need to be. Because what happens is the people that you're always around, they're going to determine your future. We see it all the time in terms of we can look at a lot of people that we grew up with and kind of see the people that they were surrounding themselves and where they are now, right? And so what happens is most people never kind of separate themselves from a certain group of people. And one thing I noticed about you is that you really, even when I went to go visit out in July, just the conversation and the mindset that you have, I could tell you had really began to separate yourself and get into a different mindset, because you realize that a lot of those people that you were kind of, associating with, you cannot, not to say you can't be friends with them, but they're not going to help you get to that next level. You got to, start associating with people that are going to allow you to grow and seek, get to that next rung of the ladder. So,
and you hit it on the head, man. And that's why I really don't go to Houston. That's my biggest thing. A lot of people, I want to do business in Houston, but I can't right now. I know too many people in Houston, and it's like, you can't go, like you said, I got away from that. And to go back would be just too easy of dipping into the same. I like to be uncomfortable. I like to get out of my environment and go somewhere where no one's at, no one's doing anything, and just make it happen. Like, that's literally what happened here. So it's like, I don't want to go to Houston and connect with those old connections and see those old people, and you got to get out of that environment. And here it's just like I was able to really connect with my community and see what our people needed, and really connect with different business people out here and see people's struggles and everything going on. And it really kind of evolved me as well.
I want to start off there because I feel like this is where the transformation began to start for you. Because just from outside looking in, we saw you, how you were at Pearland, like pretty goofy, but just like you had a goofy stories with Alex, and it's just, this is very fun to be around, but we didn't see this back at that time. So like before, I remember like one of your favorite things to do with me was just the handshake thing, right? Every time you saw me, hey, come on.
Every time.
Yeah, I'm like, this dude just it was just funny to be around. But I saw like a more serious factor come out of you after you had left, though, because what I started seeing was, first of all, your body started changing. Like, I think you started focusing more on like your personal physique, trying to do more with football. Because you said that you were trying to make it like the one of the first goals is to make it to the league. So I saw your body start changing. So now you start becoming more focused in at least one area. So now you pretty much learn how to focus. Now you're able to get a scholarship to go off and play college ball. And while you were in college, like you mentioned, you were already starting different entrepreneurial brands such as Gorilla Gang. So now we're seeing you become more entrepreneurial along the way. Now, we never really were too much concerned about how you were doing in the classroom, but you always knew that you had some type of motivation or some type of drive to succeed. And I think with that, coupled with the few resources that you had, such as your mom being an entrepreneur doing real estate, you going out to Jamaica and getting exposed to different things. Now you take your mindset and exposure and add those together and start creating your own solutions in order to just to build your personal brand and to create Millennial Park and all that. So I want to start getting more into that.
Before that, though, because there's some I want to talk about real quick. You had mentioned how you were in college, right? And you were taking those summer classes, and you just kind of like said, okay, this is not the time for this right now. And you were just, you just stopped it. You moved to Baton Rouge, and you started Millennial Park. I want to ask kind of what made you able to just have the courage to do that and take action, knowing that you're going into something that you don't know necessarily. Like, you can believe in yourself, but you don't know what is to come, right? You don't know the struggles that you might face. You don't know if you're going to fail. You don't know what's going to happen, right? So what kind of gave you the confidence and the ability to just take action and just, quit school and go straight into entrepreneurship? Because I think that's something huge, for a lot of people too. A lot of people, debate, do I need to be in school? Is college right for me? So I kind of want to get your perspective on that.
It was really my parents. If my parents weren't super supportive and reacted the way they did, then it wouldn't have happened, completely honest. So, and I go to my parents for just a lot of advice. Like, my parents are like my biggest mentors because my dad's been through so much different businesses and things. My mom's literally a genius. So I go to them for a lot of advice, and they were so good about just what I wanted to do. When I told my dad how much the classes were, I was about to pay for the classes, he told me that sounded like a shipping container. So when he said that, I was like, man, he's on board, I'm on board. Why am I still here? So it was kind of just really my parents. I give it all to them. They gave me that drive and momentum. You're right. You can say, I believed in myself. Yeah, of course I believed in myself, but you have to have someone there that believes as well, that you trust. So for me, it was my parents, and they told me, I can make it happen, and they were going to be along the full way. And I said, let's do this. We're going to do it as a fam.
I think that's really interesting, right? Having that support system there, because I even think of it from my perspective too. That if I would have went to my parents with because it's different because we're immigrants from Africa, and so if I would have went to my parents with the idea of, hey man, I think I want to drop out of school and go start. I mean, they probably would have said, okay, get out my house,
right.
And we'll see. I'm playing. They probably wouldn't say that, but they would not. I know 100% they would not be with that. Because it's different when you coming over here as an immigrant. Education is the pinnacle. So for me to just say, nah, I'm actually good on that, then they wouldn't be rocking with it. But I make that point to say that, what your parents, say and the influence that they have is big on your life, especially in those ages of 18 to 25, right? The influence that they have on you is going to be big. If they support what you want to do, then it's going to be a lot easier to make that move. Because if they believe in you and they trust you, then it's like, okay, well, at least if they're behind me, then I can really go all out and I can try this, because then I won't feel the pressure or their disappointment on top of that, right? So I think that's really big, and it's huge in a kid's life.
I think that's very huge. And then I think in the entrepreneurship journey, it's very big with taking that first step, because you said when you first got that container, you were like, man, you're so hyped, you want to paint it red immediately, like. It's because it's such a big step mentally for you to overcome this first hurdle and say I'm actually getting started. And I just like how you took a lot of imperfect action though, because if anybody watching this goes back to your Millennial Park page, I love that entire page because you pretty much laid it out from very beginning to where it is today. Right now it's more like advertising for different events, but in the very beginning it was nothing but just the whole process of getting that first container together. I'm talking about from lighting to piping, permits, design. I mean, it was just it's eye-opening to see the transformation that you had to go through in order just to get that one container. And that was just taking that first step. So that's what I kind of want to get into now, is because you took imperfect action and that led you to where you are today. Because I saw that you started off with like an idea for just 2 containers, and now it's really like expanded ever since. So Alex, unless you have anything else, I'm going to try to go into that.
Yeah, how does Millennial Park look now in terms of because I want people to see kind of what it has become, and then we can kind of look at the beginning.
I just submitted the permitting to complete Millennial Park. So right now there's 10 containers out here right now. So 10 containers. One is the restroom, and every single other one is getting built out currently. So I have a barbershop that's beginning built out. I have a bar, a daiquiri spot. I have a soups and salad place, a Jamaican restaurant, barbecue, a retail spot, milkshakes, and a snowball stand as well. So those are all getting built out right now, and that's what's all here. So all of that, and like you said, like it's kind of like on the page right now, it's a lot of advertising, different events and everything, but we're about to get right back into the building very soon, and then we're going to be stacking it up as well. I'm going to make my own office. I'm going to stack it on top of some containers and make an office, but we're going to have a second level as well, but I'm just waiting on the permits. So we just submitted our permits, our final permits for everything last week, and just waiting to hear back to when we can start. And we already have a lot of things that are just ready to go. So after that, it's going to take 2-3 months max, I'd say. But I mean, things happen, you never really know. So to get it kind of completed, but it's happening fast. I'm honestly looking for my next location very soon, very soon.
Yeah, I think that's amazing just in terms of how it's grown so quickly.
obviously, like we look at every business, especially this is a more so entertainment-based business in terms of like offering food and live events, and even, you know, we talking about the barbershop. You know, I know you were mentioning a tattoo shop at one point, a whole bunch of different, like, you know, service-based businesses, entertainment type businesses. And every business we look at kind of has a unique, you know, value proposition that they offer to their customers, right? That makes them unique. Obviously, if we look at, you know, Chick-fil-A or Chipotle, those are like businesses that are upscale fast food restaurants. So that's what makes them, you know, unique in the fast food game. We look at, obviously, like a company like Apple now, that is their value proposition, is the fact that everything can be integrated, you know, if you have multiple Apple products. So I want to ask you, in terms of like in Millennial Park, what makes your business better than a lot of the other businesses around, in terms of like, what is the unique value that you bring to the community, and just in terms of Millennial Park?
No one has near as much options and is doing near as much. Like, we use our space. Our space is what kind of gives us the edge on everyone else. We have so much space available to where we do the movie nights in the parking lot across the street, drive-in movie nights. We have vendor nights. Vendors are all the way over there. So we have huge vendor festivals where we can have a ton of just businesses, small businesses, mom and pop shops come out, make a lot of money, have a great time, DJs. We try to incorporate everyone in the community, and that's one difference than us. So everyone else, you know, whether a lot of places out here, it's different than Houston, where you have different parks where they have a lot of food trucks or a lot of different things. That's not like that here. Here, it's just your business is serving food, your business is serving alcohol. You do this, you're serving food. Or if this is a venue, it's COVID, so you're not doing anything right now. So other than cigar places and, you know, Top Golf, there's not really anything else to do. So Millennial Park will be the only place where you can go and you can shop, you can eat, you can drink, you can get a haircut, and, you know, you can bring your kids, and you could possibly have an event where comedy shows happen, karaoke night, bingo night. Like, we're going to be hitting all those areas again coming up in 2021. We have huge plans for just a bunch of events and things we're going to be doing for the community. So our community outreach is huge as well. You know, we do a lot of things with the mayor. We just had an event with Baton Rouge Police Department, you know, during these times. And we're doing just a lot of different things. We're just trying to see how we can impact the community as much as possible. That's literally my own goal. It's just, how can we do something for the community? I just purchased land actually around the corner where I'll be making a produce market. There's no fresh fruits in this area. It's a desert. You can't get fresh fruits, fresh vegetables anywhere in this area for this community. And it's crazy because that's key for, you know, kids, you know, growing up. They need those nutrients. They need all of that. And there's nothing like that around the area. So we'll be building that out of containers very soon. That's coming 2021. So there's different things in all that Millennial Park provides for the community that, you know, a lot of places aren't really doing.
I think that's super key, honestly, because if you look at big name brands such as like Amazon and Apple, that's exactly what they're doing. That's how the system is built, because now you're just pretty much diversifying who your service is catering to, because you have multiple different things that people can go see and do. So whether you're trying to get a haircut, whether you're just trying to go out to eat, whether you want entertainment, or just whatever else you have to offer, like you have all those things. If you want fresh produce, like you said, you're coming up with, you have all these different options. So people are going to gravitate towards where everything is, especially convenience in one particular area. Now, you don't have to go to different spots to go get these things. Everything is consolidated in one spot. I think that's a great thing that you are taking heed to, because that's really allowing you to continue to grow and just outpace all your competitors around you that provide one thing at a time.
Yeah, and I was curious too, whenever you started it, and, you know, it's kind of like a snowball, right? It's building on top of, the momentum is continuing to build, and you know, you get more exposure and those kind of things. But when you started, did you have like a customer avatar, or like a target customer that you are, a target demographic that you were looking for? Because obviously, like we say, just for like Money Monopolizers, our target demographic is, you know, that young, you know, person that's age 25 to 34, maybe probably male, females as well. But, you know, they have some interest in business, finance, real estate. That's the person that, you know, if we were to sell something or do something with, that's who we're trying to spread our message to.
Yeah, so placing it here was really good because there's a lot of everything, you know, it spreads out because LSU is very close. Downtown is very close, and BRCC is very close. So it was a really good area, not too far from Southern. But my target was kind of just like people our age, like, you know, young, kind of like the same group as millennials, really. And that's Millennial Park is kind of how we came up with the name, really. And that was my target audience. And it's cool because that's how it started off. But like everyone's coming, like different events, and that's also a different demographic we have as well. So it's not like just like they have to come. Like we've had a cigar night where it's been nothing but 30 and up, and it was a great time. And then we've had some nights where we've had some small like different vendor events where it's been about average age is about 20, 22. So we're hitting all those demographics. But coming in, it was definitely I was trying to target the millennials and people that could really see the vision. That was basically what it is, because coming about, you just see a container. So you don't know Millennial Park. You're like, what is it? You can't really see. So you have to be able to visualize. So I feel like, the younger crowd will be able to really visualize what I wanted to do and exactly what was going on and how it would be. And they really have. So the target audience has definitely been kind of reached in that way.
Yeah, I think that's good because, these kind of things that you're putting up, obviously, if you want to expand into other cities, these are the things that millennials are interested in, like these outdoor entertainment type areas where everything is kind of inclusive, right? I can go here, I can get a chop, I can go get a turkey leg, I can get a snowball, whatever the case may be, right? And so having all that, you're providing everything. So, the reason I love that and the reason I love what you're doing is because you're creating a brand. And so what essentially is going to happen, and this is kind of transitioning, but what essentially I see happening is that you can essentially create something where it's like, obviously you're wearing the shirt with your logo, right? Right. The same way McDonald's has a logo, right? They have something where people lean on their credibility, right? So whenever McDonald's wants to expand, they go and buy land and they let franchisees or leasers go and purchase or rent that land to them. And that's how McDonald's makes a bulk of their money. People think McDonald's makes money from burgers and those kind of things. McDonald's is a real estate company. They own some of the most expensive real estate in the world, right? Some of the best corners in America they own and in the world. And so people are able to, if I wanted to go open a McDonald's on, 15th Avenue in New York, then I'm going to pay the premium for that land to McDonald's because they bought that land. And I'm going to also pay them a percentage for using their brand, right? And so that's kind of what, I'm not sure if this is in your plans, but I see as you expand, right, you can essentially be buying land in another location or in another city. And if someone wants to open a Millennial Park type of thing, they're going to, number one, have to pay you the rent. And then number two, have to pay you a part of those fees for using your brand and your logo, Millennial Park. Is that kind of something which you were?
That's in the plans. I have some friends that I want to, and I'm getting them aboard, trying to see if they want to, they're getting containers and, Dez, for instance, like we were talking about Dez, Chid, people, friends trying to get them into the real business and be able to handle business one-on-one with the container at first. And then, we keep building on top of that. So then they're like, okay, I get this land, go to this city, open it up. So it's like we can branch out. You go to this city and open up and then do that as well and just be expanding. That's literally the plan. Yeah.
So let's talk. I want to talk a little bit about the real estate too in that regard, in like terms of the land. Because obviously, Marlon, did you want to comment on that real quick before I go on?
Mine would transition a little bit, so now go ahead.
Oh, okay. I did want to just touch on it because I think obviously, this land was gifted to you by your grandfather. But there's a sense in terms of like this land already is worth a lot more than it was, whenever he gave it to you, right? In terms of just, I'm sure even that some of the houses in the neighboring areas are worth more just based on you coming and putting that. Because I remember when I went there in July, I'm not going to lie. I mean, it was on Florida Boulevard, right? And so that's one of the busiest streets or probably, I guess, the main street in Baton Rouge. And many of those areas were, really run down, really beat up. I'm sure like you've come and you've increased property values in other places. Is that something that you kind of have been told like by homeowners, like, oh man, I'm really just glad about that this is being here?
And that's what it is. In the neighborhood, just different kind of complaints with noise and everything, but different the neighborhoods that, that really love Millennial, they say that, you're raising our property value. I can't be mad at all.
But one thing I'm always thinking about, I was thinking about a lot when I was going through your page, is trying to figure out what your system is like. Because in order to operate something of this caliber, and in order to grow it to this level, it's going to take more than just you and probably more than just your parents. So I'm trying to figure out, in order to get all these permits, all the piping and lighting, all the getting different food vendors and advertising, what is that like? Like, how are you managing everything, and like who's in your corner in order to make you successful with that?
Okay, so Marvin Glover is my dad's really good friend. I call him basically my uncle. And he has been working in the restaurant industry for 30 plus years. He's opened up a lot of Sonics, a lot of Domino's around the world, and he does everything. So once I kind of meet him and my dad, and Glenn, he's also my other uncle, basically. And we all kind of established as like a little team. It was. So Glenn's really good with the recipes, the cooking, getting all that together and finding, the secret sauce that we have, how long we need to cook the turkey, everything like that. My dad is really good back office with the computers and the permits and everything in that sense. And Marvin was really good with the restaurants. So starting the restaurants and getting, and I also have a lawyer that's on my team that's really good. So my paperwork was always really good. Marvin was on the team that could train anyone, open a restaurant. He could open up all of the restaurants and have a management team. I partnered with him, so he has a management team that comes in. He trains everybody, gets everybody, the payroll down, trains all the employees. Everybody knows, the protocol, does everything. So he was the restaurant, and then I was kind of just everything else. I was the face of it. I was the build. I built everything, got everything orchestrated. I handle all the marketing. I handle all the social media. I handle everything that happens truly goes through me. Like other than Marvin being with the restaurant, Jive Turkey area, and my dad being back office, everything else kind of really just goes through me. Other than those people, there isn't a huge team yet, but I'm trying to get to that point. I'm building the team more, but truly it's just been those people. We've all been in like different areas where we could really focus in on and make it happen. And it was great. So Collins, I just added a contractor and an architect to the team as well. And he's great. So he knows everybody in the city and he's really connected, and adding him to the team truly has been huge with the build out. Basically, the team is continuing to grow, but you definitely have to have a team. I wouldn't be able to do it myself.
I think that's the lesson there for any of the listeners, is making sure you have that team behind you, having those systems in place so that everything can operate and flow efficiently.
Right, because I've never worked in a restaurant and I've never owned a restaurant, so I can't open up restaurants and I've never done it. So I was like, I had to get Marvin on the team, and once Marvin got on, it was just like boom, boom, boom.
I want to emphasize that just because of the fact that when you are trying to get started with something, like, it's very important to understand that you don't have to go in and attack it all by yourself, because you're pretty much going to run into issues where you don't know everything about one particular thing, and that could, in a lot of cases, stop you or prevent you from propelling forward, because you don't understand that aspect of it, or you will just try to to dance around it or not include it altogether. But what you ended up doing was finding somebody who specializes in the areas where you're weak in. So pretty much you're finding somebody who's smarter than you in order to go propel to work in your business and continue to propel it forward. So now you got Marvin, who's working with anything food related with the Jive Turkey. You have your dad, who's working in the back office. Anything, I don't know if you're talking about financials, if you're talking about just bookkeeping or whatever it may be, but he specializes in that. You specialize in branding and putting your face out there, making sure people marketing, making sure people know about it, know who to come to or where to come to and stuff like that. So everybody's utilizing their strengths in order to all for the sake of building a business. So that's the beautiful thing about just being a business owner in general, is that you are looking for people who can do things better than you can in order to build up your personal brand altogether.
I did want to touch on, before we wrap it up, as far as the financial aspect of it. Obviously this is a money podcast, so we want to touch on that aspect. But how much did it actually take to actually, if you don't mind, we don't have, and this don't have to go in there, but how much, did it take to actually get Millennial Park up and going? And then what does it look like as far as what do you expect to be profiting off of a container? Or
so I rent out. I have a couple containers that I rent out, but starting Millennial Park, a lot of the finance and a lot of things happen from, like you said earlier, I went into it imperfect. So I don't know about all simple things that I messed up. Like I should have got the plumbing. I didn't, nobody knows this, but I should have got the plumbing done before I poured the foundation. I poured the foundation. I'm looking at my plumber like, look, let's throw some plumbing in here. He's like, what you mean? We got to knock out concrete, this and that. So that cost me a lot of money. So between stuff like that happened a lot with me, to be completely honest, and I was so eager to get it. And I had to slow myself down because I was just, anything I wanted to do, I was like, I'm making it happen. If I had somebody that didn't want to work on weekends or something, I was like, okay, that's fine. I'm going to go rent an excavator myself and I'm going to bring it out here and I'm going to learn how to use an excavator. And I literally rented it from Home Depot, learned how to use it. And I'm out here digging trenches for plumbing and electrical work. So they come back and they're like, oh shoot, it's already dug. I'm like, yes, let's make it happen. So stuff like that, I was just going out and spending money. And so opening up Jive Turkey took about $50,000 to $60,000. And coming into it, the parking lot I had to get a parking lot, of course. So I had to get a whole parking lot done. That was like $25,000. Who knew that a parking lot would be $25,000? When they told me that, I thought they were crazy. So I was getting quotes from other people. I was like, these dudes are nuts. So I'm getting quotes from other people, and the concrete was even going to be more. So I'm like, blown away. So I didn't know any of this going into this. So it's crazy because I really had to adjust on spending money because I was never used to spending this much money on things like this. Each container, I roughly get the containers from about $1,800. The 20 foot's $1,800 to about $2,200. 40-foot containers for about $3,000, about $3,400. So it just depends. So that costs that, and depending on the build out, each container takes about 15. Now it takes me about 15 to 20 grand to build out the container. You know, and that's everything. That's plumbing permits. That's everything you can imagine. And all you got to do is just throw a little bit of equipment in there. So in the sense of each container and how it is, that's about how much each container takes about. But Jive Turkey just took a lot just because there were a lot of things that went into it that had to happen for the whole park to be successful. Like getting all the plumbing and getting all the electrical work kind of done for everything was a lot of hits that I was taking during Jive Turkey that no other containers are going to have to hit. So it's almost like I paved the way. And that's when I tell everybody now that wants to invest and that wants to do this and that. And I'm like, look, it's too late. Like, you're coming in, it's too easy, because looking at it from a money standpoint, to even talk about some money wise, I could rent you the container, but getting $1,200, $1,500 is nothing to me when I could have my own business in that container that you're trying to rent out, and then making $20,000 to $30,000 plus a month off of whatever concept it is. I just tell everybody, I'm like, look, I'm going to build them out regardless. So come back in a couple months. If I haven't put my own business in there, then it's possibly up for rent if you're talking the right numbers. And I tell everybody as well, you know, it's not just rent. I kind of want a percentage of your sales. And people hate hearing that.
For sure.
People hate, and just to be real. And it's like, I'm doing everything. I'm doing all the marketing. You're like, you don't have to do anything but literally pop your restaurant in here and you're going to be popping. It's a location. Look at the location you're at, downtown, LSU, you know, all the marketing, everything is done for you. So I'm going to be sick if you're sitting here making more, if your container's making more money than my container, I'm going to be sitting here pouting because I want some of that money you're bringing in. So I need a percentage of sales at the end of the day. And that's what people don't like to hear. So that's why I kind of in the aspect of like, let me just put my own things in these containers.
You should be 100%.
Sure.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's like I said, McDonald's, they taking the rent from you and they taking some of your burger.
That's what I'm saying.
Whenever this entire park is built out, what do y'all project in terms of like revenue per month? Because you're saying that, you know, one can generate 20, 30,000 depending on the type of business. So what are you projecting when all the entire place is kind of built out?
Each container net sales probably monthly. And these are numbers that containers are doing currently and have done. Monthly is about 30 to 40 grand. 30 to 40 grand net. Good months been 40 to 50. So around that, each container doing that. And like I said, it's been COVID, so you never really know. And it's also a new and, you know, the news publicity. So a lot of that ties into it, but those are some pretty good numbers. So each container bringing in at least 20,000, you know, you're bringing in from this destination. That's pretty good.
That's really good. I mean, considering, I mean, I would assume you probably put, I would say at least 100 grand to get it up.
Yeah.
Minimum 100 grand.
Minimum. And you're also in minimum as well, but it comes back too. So the employees, for instance, one great thing about it, it's a restaurant, but employees, you don't have to have a ton of employees. It's a small area. You can only do so much in the container. It's like a food truck. You know, it's bigger than a food truck, but in a sense. So you don't need a lot of employees. You don't need a ton of maintenance because that comes with the park. So all the money you're really going to be making, you're really going to be running it up because it's not a ton that you even have to pay for and do in that sense. And that's what you were saying. You know, the price is only going to go up because of everything that comes with it.
I can't help but think now, like if you had to go back and do it all over again, this is really more so a question like for any listener, because I know that you were throwing out the numbers that it costs like to get it started up and everything. If you had to start everything all over again, like what would be the method or the strategy in order to get these containers out there and get them up and running the correct way? And then like what would it look like for financing for like the average person that's out there looking to do something similar to this?
The average person could spend a lot less money. I was very dumb and eager. So I spent a lot of money I didn't have to spend. So I was in that sense. So the average person, you know, coming along, it doesn't take that much money. A container, like I said, container is super cheap. And it's all about who can build it out where you're at and the things that the resources you have. You have an uncle, different places. If you're in Houston, you can get people to do work for much cheaper in some areas than a lot of places. I'm sure you can get a container built out in probably 2 days in Houston, and it costs maybe $5,000 to $10,000. Like, so it really varies, but getting the land, it's all about acquiring that land. So it's either you rent the land, or you buy the land, however you get that land. But the startup is cheap. Containers are cheap, and it's all about just getting you a team together that'll be able to do all your work cheap and efficiently. Because cheap work isn't always the best work. Because, you know what I'm saying? Nobody that's going to go too crazy with somebody that's going to be legit. I say cheap, but not cheap, because cheap has bitten me in the ass multiple times. So it's just like, you kind of got to scale yourself. But I'd say you go into it, I mean, you need a couple $1,000s, obviously, but something like a container, whether you're doing something simple like you have some land and you want to put a container on it and do an Airbnb in your backyard. I mean, that's something simple you could do. And that would be cheap, super cheap. You're tying into plumbing and electric that's already there. So, it really varies, and it's all about just kind of the route you want to take. But it really doesn't take that much money. I was very dumb going into it, and if I could go back, it would definitely cost me way less. And I'd probably take my time a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, at the end of the day, once you took that action, so now you're going to be building off of that, your experiences. Everything you did was a lesson. And one thing that if anyone is going to even go look into doing anything like that, because I know just in terms of real estate, it's a lot similar in terms of a new construction. There's going to be, a lot of, the permitting fees, the soft costs for architecture and engineering. If there's trees on the land, you're going to have to get those surveyed. You're going to have to do the survey. You're going to have to do a bunch of stuff to get that land actually, they call it shovel ready, to actually get, before you can even put one shovel in the ground, you're going to spend some dollars to even, get that land ready. So I want people to be aware of that too. Don't just, all right, let me go, get this plan, put a container.
Just go throw shovels and start digging dirt, because that's you taking steps back. Every single thing you're taking steps back, brother. Yeah. I'm telling you, I was out there plenty of days just doing stuff, and then they come back and they're like, "What is this? This wasn't on the plans. This has got to go. This wasn't on the plans. This has got to go right now." And it's like, well, you know what I'm saying? So it happens, man, and it's hilarious, man. The process has been crazy, but it's been enjoyed. Man, I've enjoyed it. It's been awesome.
Good takeaway from that is that you're gonna get your education one way or another. You're gonna either educate yourself before you start, or you're gonna get it in your pockets real quick. Hey, I like that.
Yeah, education is you got to pay that tuition. So,
it's a little hard knocks, or you gonna pay just up front beforehand. But
I can see the potential here in terms of like even where you can grow in terms of even adding multiple streams of income, teaching other people how to do this in their communities. Obviously, using your blueprint, like you create the blueprint in terms of a course or something, or coaching or some sort of program where you can show people how to do this. And
some schools and have kids. It's going to be like almost like every other Saturday, we're going to have kids come out, like entrepreneurship. I'm going to be talking to the kids and teaching them different ways, because it's all about what you see. Everything with us, you guys have some really good parents. So whether it was you have to go to school or this, it's whatever you saw, you knew you could be, or you knew you could do.
Yep.
So if you don't see it and you don't hear about it, you don't know you can do it. So Saturday schools, we're going to have young kids, high school, it's going to be, probably from junior high to high school, and even some college kids come out. And we're going to be doing entrepreneur things at Millennial Park, where you're going to come, you're going to be able to hear me speak, and we're going to have classes where you can hear different business people speak and their routes, and lawyers, doctors, everybody. So there's no, I don't know what I can do. No, you're hearing everything. You're hearing how to open up a container and take out a heart. You know what I mean? So let's make it happen.
I think we're going to kind of wrap up now with the our last segment, which is the Fast Five. So this is essentially where we'll ask you 5 questions and you answer them in 10 seconds or less. First question, what does success mean to you?
Being able to spread your success with others, being able to just overcome obstacles and always persevere.
For sure.
All right, question number 2. What's your favorite money or business book? And the School of Hard Knocks can be one of
them. School of Hard Knocks. Yes, actually. Actually. Yeah, I'd say.
That's the best book you could. It's the most expensive book you ever buy.
It's expensive. That's an expensive book, but hey, it teaches you real well though.
Okay. Next question. Would you rather have $1,000 a week for life or $1 million today? And why?
$1,000 a week a life.
For life.
For life, yeah, that. $1,000 a week, I pick that because it's just a forever, it's income. It's a forever income.
Question number 4. If you could go back and change anything about your journey, what would it be?
Nothing.
Love
I
it.
wouldn't change anything. Because I feel like if I were to change something, then I wouldn't have ended up here. So I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah. Okay. So last question. Where can people find out more about you?
You can go to, either you can Google me, you can go to Millennial Park, br.com. There's a passage about me, about the CEO, and you can go to my Instagram, Cam Jackson CEO, and follow Millennial Park at Millennial Park, MILLENNIAL Park.
Sounds good. Well, yeah, man, this was really dope. I'm super, excited about what you got going on and where this is going. I'm really excited about the potential. I can see it, man, expanding, and I'm glad we got you on here early before, it'll be too hard to get a hold of.
Right. To get in touch with you. Numbers going to change and everything.
No, not at all, man. I'm ready to be on here again. Just let me know whenever, man. Definitely when I got a little bit more under my belt, I want to be able to talk about a lot of things. So, man, I've been waiting to get on here, man. It's exciting. We've all come a long way, and it's good to see, we're still able to connect and, talk about our journeys and go through things, because that's what it's all about, especially being young Black men.
Well, that's it for this episode of the Money Monopolizers podcast. New episodes will be released every Thursday and will be available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Just search Money Monopolizers wherever you listen to podcasts. We hope you gained something of value from this episode. If you did, we'd appreciate it if you rated us 5 stars. Shout out to y'all that gave us those ratings last week. I appreciate it. We just hit 103. So shout out to y'all. But yeah, we appreciate if you gave us those 5 stars rating and left us a review. You can find out more info about us on Twitter at the Monopolizers, on Instagram at Money Monopolizers. We post informative content on there that'll keep you engaged. So be sure to check that out and share those posts. But until then, we out of here.
You've been listening to the Money Monopolizers podcast, helping you take control of your financial destiny. To learn more about how you can be in control of your money, visit moneymonopolizers.com. We'll catch you next time when Alex and Marlon share more personal finance and wealth creation tips with you. Now it's time to take action.